Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here for a full breakdown of Week 1 DraftKings slate. We're talking cash games, we're talking GPPs, so really excited to give you guys a full breakdown here. A couple of things, though, real quick before I get into the analysis. One, man, what a shitty game that was last night between the Bears and the Packers. I can't believe I wasted 3 hours of my life watching that. I was so excited for football to finally be back, and then they give us that. Wow, like that was. I even tweeted. That was probably the ugliest showdown slate ever, too. Yeah, so I'm not even gonna go over my lineup. It was just that was a shit show. One thing I did talk about though on my Twitter was the in-game showdowns. There was so much overlay for the in-game second half as well as the in-game fourth quarter, where basically if you entered double ups, that's all you had to do was just enter and you doubled your money. So I kind of got some free money from that, making up for the loss. Just in the regular showdown. But one other thing too, if this video gets 50 likes, I'm gonna be on Twitter probably a few hours before lock on Sunday. I'll release my tiers for cash games and GPPs, so kind of like a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 type thing with players grouped in those tiers for cash games and for GPPs. I've been doing kind of something similar for the preseason, but basically just tweeting out like all the players I'm considering. But I'll do a tier for cash games and GPPs if this video gets 50 likes. And again, I will be streaming probably about an hour before lock on Sunday. It's twitch.tv/DK_DFS. It will be in the description below. I'd really appreciate if you guys come check it out. I'll be going over any late breaking news that we get, as well as answering your guys' questions. So would really appreciate if you guys come check me out. And yeah, that's it. So let's jump into the analysis. So first, we'll talk quarterbacks and we'll talk cash games first. So there's honestly not a lot of quarterbacks I'm considering for cash games. I'm keeping the list pretty small. So for cash games, normally for me, I always go for the cheap quarterbacks so I can get those expensive running backs in my lineup. So the high-priced quarterbacks, I'm not even considering for cash games. I don't think you have to go there. But we'll start with Lamar Jackson, kind of in the mid-tier here at 6K. He just has the rushing floor, which is so good. What did he averaged like crazy amounts on the ground? Probably like 15 rushing attempts a game last year. Now that'll probably go down a bit. Baltimore doesn't want to use him that heavily, in the rushing attack, but he still just has that high floor, which is great for cash games. Again, Miami. I'm not scared of them at all. So I think Lamar Jackson, one quarterback for sure you got to consider for cash. Another one, a little more risky here because this is a little bit unknown, but I'm really high on Kyler Murray at 5.6. So again, if you guys have been watching my videos, you guys know I'm really buying into this Cliff Kingsbury offense. I know the offensive line is bad, I know, but they're going to play at such a fast pace that they don't even have to be that efficient to be good. 5.6K is really cheap. Again, he has that rushing upside. This is a little more risky for cash games, but the salary makes him in play. I like him a lot here, so I think he's a really solid play at 5.6K, but definitely the riskier cash game option. And then lastly, it's going to be Jacoby Brissett for me at 4.4. I think he's going to be pretty popular for cash games. Again, putting him in your lineup, you can do a lot here at 4.4K. That opens up a lot. The Chargers defense is pretty solid, but Brissett, in 2000, a couple years ago, he started a full season. Wasn't that good, but I expect him to be a bit better here. And again, 4.4K, that's just too cheap for a starting quarterback. He also has some rushing upside as well, so those would probably be the three quarterbacks that I would consider for cash. Now let's get to GPPs. So GPPs, Mahomes, I think is going to go really low owned. I just don't think I can go there still. That Jacksonville defense just scares me a bit. I know he can go off against any team, so for that reason you just got to consider him. But I just don't think I'm going to have him on my list of guys that I'm considering for GPPs. Jameis. So, if you guys watch my video about, stacking games, I really like the San Francisco-Tampa Bay game. Jameis, I know 6.6K is kind of a lot, but I like pairing him with a receiver or two, Godwin, Mike Evans, or O.J. Howard. So, I think Jameis at 6.6K is a really solid GPP option. Same thing with Cam. Another game that I really like stacking, 6.5K. Again, Cam has some rushing upside as well. Not as much as he did when he was younger, but he still will run the ball. And this should also be a shootout. So Jameis and Cam are the two spend up quarterbacks I'm considering for cash games. As far as like Baker, I do expect Baker to be pretty solid this year, but I just never target quarterbacks that are huge, favorites. And Cleveland should have their way with Tennessee. I expect them to get up to an early lead and then just pound the rock. So for that reason, it's not really a guy I'm considering. Same thing here with Russell Wilson. Again, I really think Seattle's gonna have their way with Cincy. Jared Goff, I think you can do better. I know I do like that game, but I just think there are better options. Same with Matt Ryan. I think he's just okay. Phillip Rivers, again, home favorite. I really expect them to handle Indy. So probably not going to be the way I go. Same thing with Dak. I really think the Giants will be really bad this year. So I think they get up to an early lead, just pound Zeke. So not really on Dak. On Jimmy Garoppolo, 5.8K. I think he's going to go pretty low owned. Just because he's got, sandwiched between Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. I think a lot of people are going to go that way, or Jacoby Brissett for really cheap, or, spend up for those, Cam Newton or Jameis Winston. So I think Garoppolo kind of flies under the radar for GPPs. And again, I really do like this game as a game stack, high over under. The only concern is the weather is not looking too good for this game. So that's just something we got to keep in mind. Again, really bad weather would definitely be a downgrade. So that's something to at least keep an eye on for now. But it's only Friday night. We got a few days, but at least something to consider. Carson Wentz, same thing with those other quarterbacks. Just two. I think he's going to be a favorite, or they should get off to a big lead and then just pound the rock. So not really considering him. Josh Allen, this is risky. I'm not huge into targeting games with low over-unders, and this is over-under below 40. But again, in that back end of the season, he was one of the best fantasy quarterbacks. So I think this guy, is worth considering for GPPs. Kirk Cousins, okay. Stafford's okay. Nick Foles is interesting because, again, Kansas City's defense, not that good. And, their offense is obviously really high-powered. So, theoretically, Jacksonville should be playing from behind here. A Nick Foles to D.D. Westbrook stack wouldn't be the worst idea. So I think he's in consideration. Mariota, no thanks. Sam Darnold, I'll pass. I'll take a wait and see. Again, really low over under. Andy Dalton, no. Eli, no. There's really no one else. Again, Brissett for cash. You could go Brissett in GPPs too, just because he opens up a lot. But yeah, that's basically it for quarterback. So let's move on to running back. Now, week one is interesting because normally for cash games, I just like to plug in like three of the top running backs, then go from there. So I guess I'll talk about Zeke. So obviously there's the whole news in the the preseason whether he's going to hold out or not, and they said he's good to go. They said he's been in good shape. I did see a tweet. Where is it? Where they said a beat writer said the plan right now is to limit him to 20 to 25 snaps, but that was a few days ago. Again, they say he's in pretty good shape. I don't know what to make of that. Unless we get like clear, definitive news that he's just going to be a workhorse, I'm probably going to stay away, at least for week one. I'll take a wait-and-see approach. Again, I do like their home favorite against Dallas. They should pound the rock, but I think Tony Pollard gets a decent amount of work here. So for that reason, as of right now, I'm going to stay away from Zeke as a spend-up. So like I said, normally for cash games, I would just plug in the three of the top running backs. So it's just Saquon, McCaffrey, and David Johnson. Three top running backs and go from there. And this is still viable. Like 4K remaining, you throw Brissett in at quarterback, you throw a cheap defense in. Obviously you can get a cheap tight end. There are definitely viable receivers in that 4 to 5K range you can pair. So this is definitely something you can do, and a build that I'm considering, but it's difficult because there's so many good mid-tier backs as well where, is it worth saving a couple thousand for those mid-tier backs and then spending up a bit elsewhere, or do you just want to take the really high floor? I'm a little torn right now. Again, week one, there's so much value. There's so many ways you can go. So I think the ownership's kind of going to be spread out, but that also makes it a little tough, a little difficult, just because, again, there's so many good plays that I think it's going to be, a more difficult week to cash than most. But again, That's kind of my take on that. So the top 3 quarterbacks, Saquon, or the top running backs, again, I'm kind of crossing off Zeke for now. Saquon, I think he's okay. I'm just worried that Dallas is just going to stack the box, 8 men in the box, and just focus on him because they really don't have any other weapons. So that's the only concern with Saquon. So probably as a spend up, I'm probably going to look elsewhere. McCaffrey, I do like him as a spend up at 8.8. Again, I do like this game a lot. He's just, he's probably Carolina's best receiver. He plays basically the whole game too. He's out there for 99% of the plays last year. So I don't expect anything different. Again, the backup is Cameron Artis-Payne. There's no way Cameron Artis-Payne is stealing snaps from McCaffrey. So really like McCaffrey here. Gurley, it's kind of a stay away for now. I'm going to take a wait and see approach. The Rams said they want to limit him a bit. He's coming off the injury. I think if you're making multiple lineups for GPPs, you could throw him in there, but it's going to be a wait and see approach for me. I'm going to stay away from him for week 1. David Johnson, I do like him. Again, for season long, I've talked about this a few times. I have David Johnson and Kyler Murray on both my teams, so I'm really high on this Arizona offense. My concern is Detroit, the best part of their defense is their D-line. They have one of the best defensive lines in the league for sure, so that worries me with a really bad Arizona offensive line. I know I said Kyler Murray for cash games, but it just scares me a bit. Like, he's the riskiest for sure of those 3 guys I talked about for cash games. So if you want to go a more safe approach, go Lamar Jackson, go Jacoby Brissett. David Johnson, I think actually goes pretty low owned because, again, Detroit's defensive line is really good, but I'm just buying into this Cliff Kingsbury offense. So I think he's at least worth consideration there for GPPs. Le'Veon, I'm going to pass for now. It's just too low of an over/under. I don't want to get too much exposure in this game. If I was going to play guys, it would be cheap guys in this game. But 7.1K for Le'Veon, I'm just going to pass for now. But I think he's still in play. I think he's priced about right. Mixon, I'll pass. Cincinnati's just going to be a mess. Seattle's defense, is okay. They are at home too, so I'm going to pass on Mixon. Now we get to Nick Chubb. So Nick Chubb, I think he's probably going to be the most popular running back for cash games. But there's a good reason to that. Cleveland, they don't have Kareem Hunt for the first 8 games. Nick Chubb should be a workhorse. They're home favorites. Tennessee really, shouldn't be contesting Cleveland here. I really do expect Cleveland to have their way with the Titans. So that means, a lot of Nick Chubb early and often. 6.4K, that's just too cheap. So cash games, I agree with the masses. I think he's a pretty solid play, but there's definitely pivots to him. You can definitely get off the high ownership of Nick Chubb. Damian Williams, no thank you. I'm passing on those Kansas City backs. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach. It's a 3-headed monster right now. Again, we saw what happened with the 3-headed monster like Chicago. I still can't believe them giving Mike Davis all that work. They were giving him like 3rd down work too over Tariq Cohen. It didn't make sense. But yeah, I'm going to stay away for Kansas City for the running backs for now, just kind of see how it plays out. Leonard Fournette, I think he's okay. I just think there's probably better options in this mid-range, but Kansas City defense not the best. The only issue with Fournette is he's just not the best PPR back. He'll get like a couple receptions a game, but he doesn't have that huge pass catching ability upside. Now Dalvin Cook, another guy I think is going to be pretty popular for cash games, and I do like him. A home favorite against Atlanta's defense. Atlanta's defense, nothing to be scared about. The only concern is that this guy's injury prone. But yeah, other than that, he should get a heavy dose of carries. So I think Dalvin Cook is solid here at 6K. Derrick Henry, I'm just gonna pass. I'm gonna wait to see how they incorporate Deion Lewis with Derrick Henry. Again, they kind of seem like they want to give Derrick Henry a lot of the work, but I'm gonna pass for now. He doesn't have a lot of PPR upside, so I'm gonna pass. Carry-on, I think goes really low owned, but I think this guy still has some upside. Again, I think the ownership for cash games, it's going to be Chubb. It's going to be Dalvin Cook in this mid-tier range. Carry-on, I think is going to go pretty under the radar, but has just as much upside. Now, the Lions got rid of Theo Riddick. They still have C.J. Anderson. They still have Ty Johnson. We don't really know how they're going to incorporate in this offense. It seems like it's going to be Carry-on, just kind of be a workhorse back, but again, we can't trust all these reports like Chicago said David Montgomery was their guy for early down work, and then it was just a three-headed monster. So there is a little bit of concern, but in the back end of the season, one given carries, Carrion was really good. He's a good PPR back as well, so I think he's worth consideration for GPPs. Cash games, I don't think I would do it, but for GPPs, I think he goes pretty low owned. So I do like me some Carrion for GPPs. And then Carson, I think will be a bit popular, but not as much as Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb for cash games. I really like Chris Carson for cash and GPPs. Home favorite. Cincinnati's defense, they're just a mess right now. Seattle should get off to an early lead and just pound Chris Carson. They said they want to incorporate him more into the passing game too. They want to get him at least 50 receptions. So, the only downside to him last year was he just didn't get much work in the passing game. But imagine this guy getting 20 plus carries and then incorporating him into the passing game, and he's a home favorite at 5.7K. I really like Chris Carson. So, just take that with, take that into consideration. I think he goes a bit lower owned than Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb. Marlon Mack, don't think we have to go there. Eckler, I do like him, but they do have Justin Jackson too. I'm going to take a wait and see approach, see how much Eckler gets in week 1. They said it's going to be kind of like a 50-50 split, so for now, I'm going to take a wait and see approach, but I do like his upside, his receiving ability. You definitely can target him for GPPs. Devontae Freeman, I just think we can do better, but he's going to go pretty low, and I think Minnesota's defense is solid. Freeman, another guy who is injury prone too, that does worry me. I think we can do better. Mark Ingram, no thank you. Tevin Coleman, I think is okay, but I would prefer. So below this, it's really only going to be Matt Breida for consideration for me at 4K. He's listed number 1 on the depth chart. It's going to be kind of, I would say, a 50-50 split, but Breida, when healthy, was really good last year. Again, he was fighting through injuries, has looked really good in the preseason too. So I do like Matt Breida as a cheap play. I don't think we have to go there for cash games. Like, just spend up on your, go for the high end guys, or those guys in the mid tier I talked about. I don't think we have to go Breida in cash games, but for GPPs, yes, 100%. This game's stackable, so for GPPs, I would consider Matt Breida. And there's really no one else. I talked about in my value play video a few of these other guys, but I just really don't think we have to go there. So let's move on to wide receiver. So, wide receiver, you can't really go wrong with any of these top guys. Odell, Julio, Mike Evans, even Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen. All these guys are definitely in play. At least for me, like roster construction right now, I'm not targeting any of these guys for cash or GPPs, just because I do like a lot of those high-end backs and those mid-tier backs. So, as of right now, I'm not targeting any of these guys, but they're all certainly in play. Like, all these guys have upside. You can't go wrong with any of them. If I was going to pick between any of these guys, probably lean towards Mike Evans, just because, again, that game should be a shootout, 2 really bad defenses. So if I was going to pick between any of these 5, probably would lean towards Mike Evans, but you really can't go wrong. If you're high on any of these guys, I'm not going to talk you off them. So that's kind of my thoughts with those top-end receivers. Amari Cooper, I think, is okay. I'm probably going to pass, though. I think he does have some upside. He flashed it last year. So for GPPs, you can consider him, but I'm probably going to pass just because right below him, you got Thielen and Diggs, who I think both these guys are pretty solid. If I had to pick between the two, I think I would lean towards Thielen. Again, in Atlanta's defense, one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So both those guys, I think, are really solid. Below that, TY, I'm going to pass. The Rams receivers, you can go there for sure if you're game stacking, but it's just, my concern is they're just so balanced. They're like the Bears. I mean, I know the Bears look really shitty yesterday, but they're just such a balanced attack with Gurley, Cooks, Woods, Cooper Kupp. So yeah, that's the only real concern I have with the Rams. Galladay, I do like him for GPPs at 6.3K. Arizona's defense, nothing to be scared about. So I think Galladay is pretty sneaky here with some upside. And I do like this game as part of a game stack too. So, like I said, I'm really high on some of the Cardinals guys. You could run it back with Galladay. You could run it back with low-owned Carrion. I think both those top 2 Lions guys go pretty low-owned, but I do like them. Now Godwin for cash, I think he's going to be really popular. He's been one of the most hyped up players in the offseason. Everyone's talking about him. Again, this game, very game stackable. Cash games, I do really like Godwin. If you want the pivot off Godwin, I think right below him, Tyler Lockett here. Seattle, they really have no one else at receiver. DK Metcalf is questionable, I think. But it sounds like he might play. But it's Lockett and a bunch of unproven guys. So just for that reason, I think he's a really solid play here at 6K. My only concern is, at least for my builds, I really like Chris Carson. I'm leaning towards playing him. So I don't want to go too heavy on, two Seattle guys. But I really do like Lockett here at 6K. I think he's a really solid option. Alshon, I just don't think we have to go there. Tyler Boyd, since he should be playing from behind, no AJ Green. Tyler Boyd, an interesting stat was he was actually worse last year without AJ Green. He was better with AJ Green in the lineup, so just take that into consideration. Probably not going to be the way that I go. Jarvis, I think, is interesting. I think he goes pretty low owned, but this is a guy that should be playing out of the slot, and all the attention should be on OBJ. So I think Jarvis is a really sneaky option. I do kind of like him here for GPPs. Cash games, yeah, you can still consider him for cash too. So I think Jarvis goes pretty low owned, but I do kind of like him here at 5.6. DJ Moore, I think for GPPs, yes, 100%. For cash games, you just take Curtis Samuel low and take the savings. I think DJ Moore goes super low owned compared to Samuel, but he's definitely a solid option here. Again, I do like this game as a game stack. Pettis, I think we can do better. I'm going to take a wait and see approach for the San Francisco receivers for now, besides Kittle. Let's see. Sterling Shepard, yeah. If I was going to target someone from the Giants, it probably would be Evan Ingram, though, just because, he's really the only, red zone threat besides Saquon. So I think Shepard's okay, but I think there's probably better options. Now, D.D. Westbrook, another guy I think is going to be really popular in cash. Everyone's talking about him. Again, Kansas City should theoretically get off to a lead, and then Jacksonville should be playing from behind. So, that would be good game script for D.D. Westbrook. 4.8K, I think that's just too cheap. Nick Foles really likes this guy. Again, I think he's going to be really popular in cash games. There's definitely pivots off him, though. A couple of those guys are those two Arizona receivers, Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald. Both these guys are, the 1 and 2 right now for Arizona. And, again, this offense is unproven, but has a lot of upside. Again, I'm pretty high on this Arizona offense. They are riskier, though. But, Larry Fitzgerald, again, I've talked about it a couple times now, but look at in the last 4 games of the season, targeted 9, 8, 9, 9 times, double-digit fantasy points in every game. That was like one of the worst offenses in the NFL, too, and he was still putting up numbers. I know he's 36, he's old, but this offense did a complete 180, so I think Larry Fitzgerald definitely in play here. Same thing with Kirk. I think Kirk's a little riskier, but he's definitely still in play if you want to get a piece of that Arizona offense. Let's see. So Curtis Samuel. Again, it's going to be, I think the 3 chalkiest wide receivers are going to be Chris Godwin, it's going to be D.D. Westbrook, and it's going to be Curtis Samuel. All 3, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Curtis Samuel, obviously the cheapest of the 3. 4.2K for a starting receiver and a high over-under. There's really not a whole lot of bad things you can say about him. So I do really like him. There's definitely pivots off him for GPPs. Cash games, he's close to a lock. 4.2K for a starting receiver, that's hard to ignore. Again, he's going to be really popular, but I think you can get away from him for GPPs. One of those guys was Jameson Crowder. Again, not too high in this game because it's a really low over-under, but we got Robbie Anderson questionable. Crowder out of the slot. Sam Darnold likes him, so I think he's a solid pivot off of a really, really high-owned Samuel. Humphreys, I talked about him again. Those guys in the slot for PPR formats, they're decent. So a lot of those slot guys are pretty cheap. Humphreys. Who else here? There's a couple other. Cole Beasley, I talked about him. A really cheap option. You could pair him with Josh Allen for GPPs. Again, that's definitely more risky, but I think it's viable. And even Amendola here. Again, I know he's kind of old. He's going to be playing out of the slot. We'll see. I think he's at least worth consideration. But that's basically about it for wide receiver. So let's move on to tight end. Tight end. So the top three here, we got Kelsey, George Kittle, Ertz. Kelsey, again, I'm kind of staying away from Kansas City for week one. I still think, if you're really high on this Kansas City offense, you can definitely, make a game or stack them. I think it goes pretty low owned, but, Kansas City can really go off against any team. It's just that Jacksonville defense does scare me a bit. So Kelsey, I think he's okay. Kittle would probably be my favorite of these top three, just because, again, San Francisco receiver is a little unproven here, a high over-under game, so Kittle should get a lot of targets here. And the only really concern is the weather as of right now for this game. So again, just something to keep an eye on, but Kittle, I do like him. Probably my favorite spend-up tight end. Ertz, I think is okay, but Philly, they're just a really balanced attack. They have a running back by committee. They got Alshon, Deshaun Jackson, Ertz, Dallas Goedert. They just have a really balanced team. I'm not huge into targeting balanced teams for DFS, so kind of off Ertz. He definitely gets you there. Price is 6.1K. He's priced fair, but I'm just going to look elsewhere. Now, below that, in this mid-tier of tight ends, I like three guys a lot. OJ, Evan Ingram, Hunter Henry. All three of these guys just seem too underpriced. OJ, you can definitely pair him with a Jameis and GPPs, or you could just play him in cash games. 5K I think is a little too cheap. Before he got injured, he was playing some great football, getting double-digit fantasy points in almost every game, and still only played in 66% of snaps or something like that. He should be out there almost 90+% for this season. So OJ Howard, I do like him again. Two really bad defenses, so I do like me some OJ Howard. Evan Ingram, I think is also pretty solid play. I think Dallas just focuses on stopping Saquon Barkley. So Evan Ingram, again, he's really their only red zone threat too. So I do like him a decent amount here at 4.8K. Again, Giants should be playing from behind. So I think Evan Ingram is really solid here. Ebron, I don't think we have to go there. I'm going to stay away for now. Hunter Henry, another guy that I think solid at 3.9K. Again, he was injured all of last season, but the season before, kind of had a breakout year. Phillip Rivers likes this guy a good amount, so I think he's worth consideration for sure. Njoku, I think is solid too. But again, Cleveland, they have OBJ, they have Jarvis, they have Nick Chubb, they have a lot of options too. So I think Njoku still is solid though. Jordan Reed is too injury prone, too many concussions. I just can't do it. Delaney Walker is a cheap guy. I think solid. Tennessee should be playing from behind here. He's Mariota's safety blanket. The only downside is, again, he's kind of an older guy. I think he's in his mid-30s now. But Mariota does really like this guy. So 3.5K for salary relief. I think he's a pretty solid option. And then Greg Olsen too. Another guy. No, he's old, but this is a game that I want a lot of pieces out of. Should be a back and forth affair. So Greg Olsen at 3.2K. I think he's a pretty solid cheap option. Other than that, I think Hooper's okay. Eifert, really injury prone, but does have a little bit of upside. Hawkinson, I'm going to take a wait and see approach to see how Detroit uses him for week one. If you're running out multiple lineups for GPPs, a lot, I think you throw him in there for one just because he does have some upside. But for now, I'm going to take a wait and see approach. Same thing with Mark Andrews. He should be the number one tight end for Baltimore, but they do have other tight ends too. He is Lamar Jackson's favorite receiver as of right now. But again, I'm going to take a wait and see approach, see how much Baltimore uses Mark Andrews, see how much they use the other tight ends. So for now, I'll pass. Gesicki, Miami's just, they really have no one. They should be playing from behind too. Baltimore's defense, though, is pretty solid. If I was going to target one guy in Miami, I think it would be Gesicki. Jason Witten, I don't think I can go there. I think I prefer a couple of these other tight ends above him. And yeah, that's basically about it for tight end. So let's move on and talk about some defenses. So for defense, for me, for DFS, I like targeting the big home favorites. Now, Baltimore. I know they're not at home, but Miami is just a dumpster fire right now. Baltimore, a really aggressive defense. They blitz a lot, so that's really good for DFS purposes. A lot of sacks, a lot of forced turnovers. So again, Miami's kind of a mess. No issue if you want to spend up for the Ravens there. I like the Eagles too. Washington, not scared of them at all. Big home favorite for the Eagles, so I do like them. Same thing with the Cowboys. I think the Giants are going to be a mess. Eli sucks. So the Cowboys, I think they're a pretty solid defense too. Same thing with the Browns. Again, a lot of these top defenses I like. That's just kind of the way I approach making line for DFS purposes. Browns again should be get off to a big lead against the Titans. So I think the Browns are solid. The Vikings are okay. Atlanta's offense a little better than some of these other teams that they're going against. And then below that, there's not a whole lot of options. I mean, you can go Jets or Bills just because it's such a low over-under. I think that's definitely viable. The Seahawks against Cincinnati, not too scared of them. So I think the Seahawks are a solid option. And the same thing with the Chargers. Indy, again, no Andrew Luck. That's a big hit to that offense. So I think the Chargers are solid. Below that, though, it's really hard to target anyone with confidence. Now, any of these defenses, definitely can get you there. They can get you a pick six. All any of these cheap defenses need is like a sack, fumble, return for a touchdown or a pick six, and they definitely get you there. But it's just too risky for me. I'm gonna kind of cross it off here below the Chargers. I really don't think I can target anyone below that. So I think that's about it for this full in-depth breakdown of Week 1. If you guys have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you would like this video. Again, 50 likes. I will tweet out my tiers for cash games and GPPs a few hours before lock on Sunday. So, like this video and subscribe if you haven't. I would really appreciate it. And then also, I will be live streaming about an hour before lock. It's going to be twitch.tv/DK_DFS. I will have that in the description below, answering any questions you guys have, talking about any late breaking news we get. So, would really appreciate also if you guys come check out the stream. And yeah, that's basically it. I will have I think I'll have a video up actually for the 4 p.m. late slate. There's a couple of pretty good games here. Let's see. So Indy and the Chargers, Cincy and Seattle, Detroit, Arizona, the Giants and Dallas and San Francisco, Tampa Bay. I think I'll have a video up kind of going, breaking that down, or maybe live stream for that. I don't know. We'll see. But I will have also a video up for the showdown site for Sunday night as well as Monday night. So, yeah, that's all I got. And yeah, I will see you guys hopefully in the stream Sunday before lock. So I will see you guys then.